And we're live. Welcome back to another Sculpt Session podcast. I am here with the wonderful man. Say hi.
Hey guys.
And totally forgot to introduce myself, but I'm Sash. If you're here, if you're here and this is not your first rodeo, you already knew this. We're going to be talking about a very interesting topic today that I feel like a lot of people could relate to and is very personal to the both of us, and that is having a narcissist in your life and like dealing with a narcissist and most importantly, how they affect your health, your fitness, your lifestyle, and just like overall your life because it does trickle into every single aspect of your life. We're going to be talking about exactly how. So, full disclaimer, neither Mandy or I are medical professionals. Neither of us are psychologists or psychotherapists. Or, oh, wait, medical professionals? No, Mandy is a medical professional. Never mind. I meant I'm like so like just trying to get to the topic because to be completely honest, like this is a little bit of a tougher topic for me. Like the scab isn't fully healed kind of thing, but Mandy is a medical professional, but I meant that in the sense of like we're not psychotherapists, we're not psychologists, we're not psychiatrists, like we are not, we did not study narcissism professionally. Like this is like totally and completely based off of our experiences, our research, our knowledge that we've collected while dealing with these certain types of people. And the reason why we're sharing about this and why we're even doing this episode is for anyone who may be struggling or thinks that they might have someone who is like a narcissist or knows that they have like a narcissistic person in their lives to just understand how it affects them physically, mentally, emotionally, how it affects your goals, your progress, how to handle it, and just to remind yourself that your environment does influence your results and you can't heal in the same environment that hurt you. And that is a very tough pill to swallow, especially if the narcissistic person is someone that's very close to you, whether it's a family member, significant other, a friend, or anything along those lines. So, Mans and I are going to be sharing some pretty personal stuff today and hopefully giving you key takeaways that you can take into your life and possibly make some changes around people that don't serve you or shouldn't be in your life. So, I think we can hit it off from now. Mandy, what does a narcissistic, like from your experiences, from your knowledge, from your readings, what does a narcissistic person look like to you? Like, what does narcissism look like?
Honestly, I think from what I've experienced, it can look like a lot of different ways depending on the person. But the common theme that any of these individuals have in my experience has been like a charisma, incredibly charming off the bat, like superficial, like very much wants to be liked, wants people to like them because then they're going to be the center of attention. They're going to have more conversations. They're going to get like that ego pump up. And once you get to know these individuals under that superficial surface level of where they're like on all the time and putting on the character and the charisma, then you see something a little bit darker, and it is all about them in a way that, like, okay, I'll say this. I am all for being the main character of your own life.
Hell yeah.
Super, super,
Ditto.
super for that. But with the narcissists that I've met, they want to be the main character of their life, but also your life and every single person that they meet, and they will manipulate, they will gaslight, and they will put you in a position where, in my experience, like I felt like I truly had to minimize myself, and nothing about my life was valid without that other person.
Mm,
That's in a nutshell what I would say like the characteristics of narcissists
yeah.
are.
That's
What about you?
that's a big one. I'll answer that in a second, but that's a big one of like you were essentially smaller than yourself and like nothing mattered if this person's like validation wasn't there, if this person wasn't happy with what you were doing. And that's pretty much you covered like a lot of the list that I had in mind of like the manipulating, the guilt tripping. They're always the victim. They're never the ones at fault. They're never the ones that do something wrong. They could never take accountability for their actions. And I think that it is such a beautiful thing to be able to take accountability for your actions, to apologize, to right your wrongs, to because we're human, we're not robots,
Mhm.
like we're not expected to be. And it almost feels like they are, and I don't say this word lightly, and I say this based off of my certain experiences, but they're like evil robots of like evil wanna be perfect, um, controlling everything kind of like it doesn't even feel like human because they're not okay with experiencing all human emotions like, guilt, being selfless, and like truly, like they could in that charisma, perfect, like, this like shiny golden star kind of person, but like you said, like those layers underneath. And I think a lot of it ties into like how they feel about themselves and their own self-worth. And because they truly don't have the confidence that they show that they have to steal it from someone else. They have to strip it away from someone else and hurt people around them, no matter how much they love them. On the topic of love, like unconditional love looks like being able to be selfless. It looks like being able
Mhm.
to care for someone else. And like you said, I'm all for being the main character. Like you should be the main character of your story. You should be creating a world for yourself that you wished for, that you love, that you want other people to be a part of, but being the main character doesn't should not come at the expense of other people's sanity and like other
Mhm.
people's lives and how they feel about themselves and like how they make themselves out to be because of a narcissistic person's
Yeah.
need to be the center. I
Like a
think
power thing.
it is, and it's actually also very interesting. I've listened, like when I first like really started feeling like I'm dealing with a narcissistic person, like I couldn't pinpoint it because especially when there's a lot of emotions involved and like a lot of love involved, because a lot of the times the people that get to you the most are the ones that you love. Like if you have a narcissistic boss or whatever, it's like, all right, this guy's just fucking full of himself. Like I like, like that's kind of it. But when it's
You can separate it.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can separate it easier, but then when it's someone that you live with, whether it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, a mom, a sister, like when it's people that you're living under the same roof with and it's hard to separate, it's also really hard to pinpoint what they are and like who they are. I don't say pinpoint like as if we're professionals in this field, but
Right.
when you do a lot of reading, when you do watch a lot of videos, when you do your research of like professional like therapists who deal with these kinds of people, you start to understand like, okay, wow, I was not crazy. Like I'm not
Mhm.
crazy. And like that's a big thing. And you mentioned something of the type of narcissist that you dealt with. And I don't know if you're super familiar with it, and I don't know all of the different kinds of names, but there are literally different levels of narcissists. There's
Mhm.
narcissists who, like I know the top level. I have personally dealt with the top level, and it's a malignant narcissist where they truly will burn the fucking world down in order to just hold on to this image of they're right, everyone else is wrong, me over everyone else. Like they will literally just like they are self-destructive and will destroy everything else around them. Like that is like an like there's no higher narcissist than that. But there are many other types. There's narcissists who, will show love and are like fighting this battle of being a narcissist. And there's a incredible doctor, her name's Dr. Ramani. She wrote a book about, how to deal with a narcissist, and a lot of the things that I understood about my experiences are from her. Um,
Can
and
you
then
send that to me, by the way? Because I've
yeah,
never read it. I would love to read that.
yeah, there's actually a couple books that I read. One of them is very, very niche and very specific to my situation, and it's literally called How to Deal with a Narcissistic Mother. And it's where the woman who wrote this book talks about what it was like being a girl growing up with a narcissistic mother and like how much that affects like your perception of motherhood, your perception of what a mother's like, your experiences, and like how then you become. So that's like a very niche one to like and it doesn't necessarily have to be mother, it could be father, it could be, but that's like very specific to parents, because when a parent is a narcissist and like you're the child, like it could be very easy to learn those things as well or like think of them as normal. or think that
Mhm.
you not wanting to be that way is not normal, hence the like thought of being crazy. That was a very niche one. But Dr. Ramani, the book, actually AJ bought it for me when I was like really struggling to like understand these things. And she also has a YouTube account, which I think we've watched like every single video to try to understand how to deal with this. And the reality is like the final point that I came to is that you can't fix a narcissist. And I was gonna wait till the end to say this, but it just feels like a good time to say it now. You can't fix them. You're not responsible for their lack of immaturity and like their lack of emotional intelligence, but you can understand how it affects you, how to handle it, and how to move on with your life. But
Mhm.
I will absolutely be sending you that book because it is incredible.
Thank
It is
you.
a real, and
If you link it for people too, I'm
yeah, it's
sure.
actually a Spotify audiobook. I've been listening to the audiobook. I have the
Mhm.
physical book and like it's one of those books that you can read through the whole entire thing and then return back just to read certain chapters to just refresh your mind like because it dealing with someone who's a narcissist, it's not one of those things where like you work through it, you heal from it and you're done. It's a constant reminder to yourself. It's constantly having to work on yourself to not give in to
Mhm.
their games,
Yeah.
essentially. Before I jump into how they affect like your health and your fitness, I know I said like a mumbo jumbo of things, but was there anything that you wanted to expand on or like talk on?
I mean, not specifically, just as you're speaking, I'm just continually like life experience or this, like memories are popping up that like I kind of forgot about that I
Yeah.
went through. Um, because the narcissist that I have in my like my biological father was one, but he hasn't been in my life for a long time. So like more recently, like 8 years ago was my ex, and I'm just hearing you say things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how I changed. And this is like a key part too, right? I changed how I operated, what I did day to day. I changed. I would be walking on eggshells, which I know is a point you have to make as well about this, but like I would walk on eggshells and have to carefully select the words that I was going to use while speaking to him.
Yeah.
Because if I said the wrong word, it would like just tip him into a tailspin. It would become like a huge fight and it would become very manipulative, very gaslit. And then like I would end up being in the wrong somehow just because I said one trigger word.
Yeah.
Um,
So can I ask you, how do you feel of being in that relationship, dealing with that kind of person, or even like remembering of like how that affected you? How did it affect your specifically your health and fitness? Like how did it affect you physically, mentally?
so it's pretty interesting that question because kind of like how I was saying about a narcissist, like when we first met, starting out very charming, very charismatic. When I met my ex, I had been divorced for like a little under a year at that point. And
Mm.
in my head, I already had it like, I'm going to start working out, I'm going to be healthier. I barely had just started a fitness journey. Like I was literally like doing body weight squats in the corner of a studio. Like I was just like a very little I was like a little baby gym girl. I didn't know what I was doing yet, but I knew that I wanted to be healthier. And I started eating better. And then I met him. It was actually we met on Tinder. And he was in really good shape. So right off the bat, like I kind of did still have like a little bit of a complex about like, oh, this guy's way like in better shape than I am, but like this is good because this is kind of like person I want to be is super in shape and healthy. And we got talking, he was charming, totally fell for him. We moved super fast, which now I know again a manipulation tactic. So when we started dating, we'd go to the gym together and he would be really encouraging. But once we moved in together, which also happened very quickly, we'd only known each other for like 4 months.
Hmm.
Once he kind of like knew in his head, like, oh, I've got her, the encouraging gym sessions together would sort of like devolve a little bit. into the oh,
Kindle.
or it'd be like, why are you wearing that to the gym? Like who are you
Now it became
trying
the controlling.
yeah, that came out. And then so I would just be like, okay, I'm just gonna wear like big baggy t-shirts then if that's gonna be the problem. Or it would be like, well, who are you trying to look good for? Like things like that. And it's like, well, I just want to feel good for myself. I literally just left a very emotionally abusive marriage where I was also like that. I was at fault in that too. I always admit that. But I started feeling myself getting really uncomfortable because I'm like, oh my God, I left a negative environment. I saw what freedom was like. I felt so good about it. I was ready to find my person. And then I found myself in these patterns again of like very manipulative, controlling. And
Yeah.
like the one that sticks out to me, like when we're talking about walking on eggshells, is I invited one of my best friends at the time over to meet him. And I was so excited. And like we were in one of our high points and everything was like good, quote unquote. And we played apples to apples. I don't know if you've ever played that. It's like a little card game, kind of similar to like Cards Against Humanity type thing. You make like
Okay.
funny, yeah. And so one of the points of contention in our relationship early on, sorry if my mom is listening to this, but like right before I had gotten together with my ex, I had like a single fling, single one night stand.
Okay.
One night stand. Sorry, Mom. Um, with a lawyer that I also met off of a dating site.
Hmm.
And I had just moved into my house, barely had furniture, and I had this guy's number written down. And I remember going into it like, I'm gonna have a one night stand. I'm gonna write down this guy's number just in case anything happens, I get murdered. Somebody can find the number, like whatever. And then after that night, I like just threw it in my drawer, didn't think about it again. It didn't have a name on it. It was just a number. Well, my ex found it after he moved in. It was like at the bottom of a junk drawer. And he ended up like he Googled it, he like followed this person, found out who they were, and like accused me of cheating on him. And I was like, I don't even know this guy's last name, dude. Like,
Oh
it's over. Like,
God.
it was like something I'm not proud of. Like, it was just not relevant to our relationship. But he found out that he was a lawyer. So we're playing apples to apples, and I draw a card, and like I didn't even think about it at the time. I was like, lawyer, and I like put the card down, and all of a sudden it's like I looked at him and his face just like got that like
Mm,
evil mask. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about when
I
like a
do.
narcissist like flips into like their real persona, not like the
Yeah.
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's that day forward, I learned, oh my God, I can't say the word lawyer because he truly in his brain either believes that I cheated on him, which I didn't, or he wants that to be the storyline. So he has another anchor of control over me, knowing that I have a big heart. I'm going to feel guilty even though I didn't do anything wrong. And I
Yeah.
think that was one of the biggest things I struggled with is because the love I had for him as a person I fell for him under a false pretense that he presented. My love was very much so true. It was very much so pure. His love was not. And
It
I
was
think that's why I ended up
conditional.
very conditional.
Very
And
conditional.
that's how I got sucked in. It was kind of, I recognized the patterns were negative from him, but I was fighting with the love that I felt because my feelings were true.
Yeah.
And it was so hard for me to like separate that from like, I love somebody that is not capable of loving me in the way I deserve because they just want their own needs met.
Yeah. And wow,
That
first of
was a
all,
tangent. I'm so sorry, but
no,
like,
no, no,
yeah.
that was, I'm sure that there are a lot of people that could relate to this. That is not what love is like. Like at the end of the day, everyone has their past, everyone
Mhm.
has things that have happened that they've grown out of. Like, if anything, there was him creating shame around your growth and him creating this like idea that you're not being truthful or that you're not the person that you are. And like that just feels like to me that he didn't know you as a person. And I think that that's a really big thing
Mhm.
with narcissists is because they're so interested in themselves and only themselves, that they don't actually know who the other person is to be able to understand anything beyond what they create in their heads. Because had he known Mandy, had he known you, he would have known that there was nothing that you could hide. There was nothing that you didn't tell. There was nothing that you would do behind someone else's back because of how much of a loyal and honest and genuine and good person you are. And what happened before him that had nothing to do with your relationship and could not hurt your relationship in any kind of way shouldn't be like that anchor point. Like there should not be an anchor point at all
Mhm.
because that's not what love is like. That's not what real love is like. And
Right.
I'm sure that there are other women and maybe even other men who have been in those kind of situations where their past was held against them, their growth was held against them, their genuineness and their pure heart like led them to the most extreme like pain and having to
Mhm.
prove something about themselves when in reality you have nothing to prove to anyone. Like that was his lack of emotional intelligence. And I mean, I don't know the guy and I don't know anything about him, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was maybe a layer of things that you didn't know about him, that he was ma trying to mask so hard that he pulled out shit out of the ground to try to
Mhm.
flip it onto you.
Yeah. Well, two things about that. You originally asked how it affected my health, and it started with the gym. And then that was the other thing. Before we met, I would go to the gym with my mom. And then once him and I were together, I was only allowed to go to the gym with him. So my gym
Mhm.
schedule revolved around when he was available for us to go work out together because I was not allowed to work out by myself.
So he disrupted
And
your, on top of everything, he also disrupted your routine, which is like a
he disrupted
narcissist.
my routine. Um, and because I am very loyal, I have nothing to hide. He also, like, we shared phone codes. He would go through my phone
Oh
and
God,
he
red
would
flag.
find something, manipulate a story, make up a story about it that, like, wasn't there. And that's how he ended up also isolating me so that, like, my world had to become all about him. But yeah, I had a point too, like, that you just said, but I totally forgot it. Now I'm just, like, getting
I saw
lost
it
in the
click there
sauce,
for a
but, like,
second, so I was like, wait, let me wrap up.
no, sorry about that. But it just, yeah, I don't know. I'd love to hear whatever you're willing to share about yours because I know, like, our relationships where we experience this narcissist were different. Like, it's a different dynamic between, like, romantic partners versus, like, a a parent and a child. But I feel like there's still so many different, like, or I'm sorry, similar parallels here to the behavior and,
Yeah.
like, what you experience.
Yeah. Like you said, on the outside, it's the most charismatic. It's this beautiful, fun, vibrant, like, but something I would always say is like when she's good, she's great. When she's good, she's
Hmm.
great. It's like you want to be around her, you want to spend time with her. It's the fun of the party. It's everything. It's like, your best friend. It's everything in one. But then when it's bad, like once that mask comes on, it's like, whoa, who is this? And it's
Hmm.
very interesting because until I started doing my own inner work and then years later trying to understand these things, I was never around healthy people and I was never around healthy people because I didn't know the difference. And
Oh.
like not to say that every single person that I surrounded myself was a narcissist. Like that's a really bold claim because then it's like, well, there's something wrong with you too then. Like if you're always surrounding and there was a lot of things wrong with me because I also played into these games and there came a point when I was like this nothing about this is normal. Everything is toxic and like this is not how it should be. They were also not people in alignment with me. And I know that now because of the people that I now surround myself with, of like how big that difference is. And you don't realize that there's something better until you experience something better. So my biggest thing was when I saw how my fiance's relationship is with his mom and how like
Mm.
my one of my girlfriends how her relationship is with her mom and like seeing what a healthy relationship is, what a truly, like truly, truly to its core, like unconditional love is like, is when I was like, I do, like this is not what I have. Like and not in a way of like I'm jealous of it, but I started understanding like I'm actually not crazy because this is not what I have. Like, the
It's not
dynamic that
normal.
this is not normal
Yeah.
and like this is not the dynamic that I have with my parent and like that reaffirmed that all of the beliefs that I had of like this is not what a relationship should be like and the cycles that we had, I was like, this is not okay. Like, it's okay to fight with a parent or like get into an argument, but for it to be like a cycle to the point where I literally had it written on my notebook where I was like, all right, we're having a high. We're having a high. The high is so good. Everything is great. We're best friends. We're making plans. We're hanging out. We're doing that. Something triggers it, whether I don't show up the way that she wants to, don't give her an extra compliment, don't text her as often as she wants me to, don't praise her like that. That was like a
Mhm.
big thing, is like if she didn't get like constant attention and affection from me, something would kick it off where we would start going down. Then it would be the lowest of lows, and it just like progressively the lows got worse and like more and more disrespectful and more mean and more intense. And then there would be the apology, there would be the let's make this right, like I love you, and then it would jump right back. Like this was it. This was it. And it just
The
like
abuse
that
cycle.
it was, yeah,
Yeah.
it was literally just a nonstop cycle. And it affected my health and my fitness because once I started taking my health and my fitness seriously and I was like all into pouring into myself and making something out of myself and creating the life that I wanted to, there was at certain points shame create like when it was convenient for her, there was shame created around my growth. When it was convenient for her to praise my growth as a reflection of her, um,
But didn't she take credit for it or try
and that's what
to?
I'm saying. Like when
Okay,
it when
yeah.
yeah, but then when it like there was shame around my growth of when I couldn't do things with them or made boundaries to not do things with her because I knew that it just wasn't like healthy, whether it was for my
Mhm.
mind or for my body. And then when I would win a bodybuilding show or when I would do really freaking good or like post my physique and like her friends would comment on it, then it was, oh, well, this is because of me. And it's like, no, it's
Mhm.
not. Like you might have helped me with getting my foot in the door with, I was a very active child. I did dance, I did sports, I did all of these things. Like, so yeah, maybe you instilled that initially, but my this result is not of your doing, it's of my doing. And that was very hard for her to swallow that it's like, hey, like all praise is not to you, it's to me. It created a lot of self-doubt within me of like what's wrong with me as like her daughter, like why, like what's wrong with me as a daughter, like as a daughter, as like a friend, as a person to have this situation going on. It drained the hell out of my energy and like this is where it ties into like I mean all of these tie into fitness, but when it drains the hell out of your energy, it makes it that much harder for you to show up for yourself and for you to do the things, whether it's going to the gym or just do the things that you said you were going to do. And there was like a low period for me.
Mhm.
And it also, I mean, it disrupts the hell out of your routine. It raises the hell out of your stress. Like it is just not an environment that you want to be in. And
Can
they
I interject
Yes,
something?
please interject because I won't
Because
stop talking. I won't stop talking.
no, just like as I'm hearing you say these things, I think another point like to make here is, and hopefully you're okay with me sharing this, but like I would remember when we would be on staff calls, like at our previous place of employment, our previous job together, we'd
Yeah,
be on staff calls and it would be the smallest thing because obviously like you are a yapper and I love that about you, but it would be like maybe you were like 10% more quiet than you normally were. And like I wouldn't think anything of it because I'm like everybody's got days where they're like a little bit more tired or like whatever. But then like fast forward, you and I having conversations, me realizing like, oh shit, that was one of the times like you were going
yeah,
through something with your mom. I had no idea at all because like I think after you've been with a living with a narcissist, had them in your life for so long, you learn how to put a mask on to
yeah,
the other people in your life. And I don't know whether it's intentional or like just subconscious and you learn to do it so that narcissist doesn't like, I don't know, say something because they want you to be compliant.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you don't mind sharing about that, like that's something that I noticed and I put the two and two together after you kind of confided in me about like what was going on. And I was like, oh my God, all of those times I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that when you're dealing with a narcissist, you just learn how to put on. My specific situation, like I would put that mask on and only a couple of people knew here and there. Like I only told certain people certain things and I didn't like fully start spilling until, I told my fiance everything and until like you found out about a lot of things and like one of my really close friends and I'll get to why I did that in just a second, but I held back so much and like put that mask on and kept quiet because in a way I also was still knowing that she was hurting me, I was still trying to protect her face because of how important I knew it was to her. And even when things started like breaking out and like real like there just came a point when I couldn't protect her face anymore because she did it in front of people. And even then I still had to put a mask on because had people around me seen how much it truly affected me, one, I feel like it would have made me feel guilty for that. Two, I always had this instilled in my brain since growing up of what happens in the family, like stays in the family. I
Mhm.
believe in that to an extent. I believe in that when it comes to, yes, your parents, yes, your romantic relationship, because if you get into a small little argument with your loved one or significant other, like you're not going to go and tell the world. But when it gets to a point where it's like this just is not this is not a safe environment for me anymore, like physically, mentally, emotionally, and I could tell that because of the way that even my body was fighting me and just everything. That's when I was like, all right, like I can't care about protecting your face that much, but I still wore the mask in a way to protect my sanity because I felt like the second that I ripped the mask off, like it made everything real. And it was something that I knew that I would have to deal with eventually and make certain decisions in my life that I knew would be extremely difficult, like not having a relationship with family, or like not having the kind of relationship that I wanted and like dreamed of having with family. Even if I didn't want to put the mask on and I did want to talk about it, I just could not even put into words because it just did not make sense. It did not
Mhm.
make, it's like, when you're hearing some crazy story or hearing some crazy person screaming and you're like, you just don't make sense. Like I can't even try to wrap my mind around this. That's where I was at, where I would go into this quiet mode because I was trying to make sense of it and hurting myself by trying to make sense of it because when you are not that kind of person, you could never understand how someone could be the way that they are.
I would defend him too. My mom
Yeah.
came up to me and she was like, I don't like him. And I was like, it's just, you don't understand him. And
Yeah.
I would like defend him. I'd be like, he's a veteran. So like, he has like, he's going through stuff. He's healing. Like, I would try and justify it to her. But like now retrospectively, I was literally trying to justify it to myself because my mom was one of those people that was going to be honest with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's also where I'd have a mask and I'd be like, no, 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 I'm fine. I'm fine. He's fine. Like, we're great. And it's like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
No,
And
we're not.
I trust, I know what that feels like also because there probably came a certain point where you did crack to your mom and you were like, you were right. Or
Oh,
like not necessarily like you were right, but like I see what you were saying.
I was so embarrassed. It was the hardest thing because it was also, it was, it was me asking for help.
Mm.
It was me asking for help because I always, after I got out of my divorce, I'm like, I'm only going to do things that are going to make me a better person. I'm not going to be a dumbass. I'm not going to do like, I'm going to learn from my mistakes. I'm going to learn from the mistakes that like my mom made with my biological father. But when you're in love, when you're with a manipulative, expert narcissist, like I ended up doing the one thing like told myself I wouldn't do, and I co-signed on a car with him because his
Mm.
credit score was bad because his ex-wife tanked his credit score and she cheated on him and all these things. But like at that point, I was already in the sauce, like, oh, this lady did him dirty. And I wasn't at the point yet where I'm like, why are you talking bad about your ex? Even if she did you dirty, like it shouldn't matter. Like that is a red flag. Like if you're
Yeah.
only talking bad shit about your ex and not owning your half of it, your responsibility, red flag. So I should have that now I know that was a narcissist red flag right there. He was not guilty at all in that ending of that relationship. So co-signed on this car, and we this is I'm gonna try not to cry. He ended up breaking up with me the week that we put my dad, like my stepdad, but like my dad, the week we put him on hospice, my ex broke up with me. He's trying to be the center of that too.
Yeah.
And for 4 years after that, it was like on and off. Like he would disappear and then I'd start feeling better and then he would text me. But what prolonged our contact, and it was again like a narcissist power move, was that we had this car together. And
Mm,
I'm like, holy shit, this guy can tank my credit score. He can put me in debt if he stops paying the car payments. And then he moved out of state. So it's not like I could just like go down the road to where he was living and be like, hey, let's go, like, let me sign my name on the title over to you. I couldn't do that.
mhm.
And that's when I kind of like had to put my tail between my legs and go to my mom and be like, I fucked up. And I think she could tell how like torn up I was about it. And of course, like at this point, like my dad passed. So like we already had those heavy emotions.
Yeah.
Um, and I think her seeing how hard it was for me, like to her credit, like and her unconditional love, she wasn't like, I told you so.
Uh-huh.
But she was like, oh man. And I was like, yeah, the way she said that, I was like, yeah, I know. I fucked up. Like, thank you for still loving me. Thank you for helping me find a way out of the situation, which we eventually did. But yeah, that mask that you put on, and then, having to actually, once, once all of it passes, once you make those boundaries, once that narcissist is out of your life and you're able to like heal again, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
You can take back your narrative, you can grow again, you can focus on your goals and your routine. Um, that really changed everything.
Yeah.
It's when you confide in people, like you build it up to be worse than it is, but really those people love you.
Yeah.
They will be there for you
Yeah.
to help you pick up the pieces.
For
And
sure.
I am just, I'm just, I would never ever wish that situation on anyone. But I'm really, really glad it happened because it helped me be the person I am today. And I'm also really glad it happened because it allows me to hold a lot more empathy and space for people. So like when you confided in me, like what you were going through, like my heart just like let me hold that space for you because I get it. You look back and you're like, how was I manipulated for so long?
Yeah. And
But
it's
it
it's hard
doesn't,
when you're in it and when you are like that loving person,
yeah,
like you are, like I am, like having that big heart. And yeah, like you said, I don't wish these experiences on anyone, like not on my worst enemy, not on anyone, but it truly does make you that much stronger of a person because more than anything, in the way that I look at it, is it shows me exactly who not to be,
yeah,
exactly how not to treat people, exactly how not to handle situations and not react. Granted, it was never in me to react that way or to be that way, but it's also when you don't when you can't when it's hard to tell like what's normal and what's not because it becomes your normal, it's hard to accept anything better. And like you almost feel like this is the best it'll get and like this is all that you can get. And how is it even like I would think like how is it even possible for a parent and a child to have a relationship that's any better than this? Like that there could be a relationship better. And I bet that there were certain times in your relationship, like in your romantic relationship, that you were thinking like, I can't even imagine like what a healthy relationship looks like. Like that felt like the best that it could get because that's what you knew.
Yeah, 100%. And that's actually like where, even though I say it didn't affect me as much, but like my biological father relationship, when I was very young, he instilled like a woman's value is solely based on her body and
Mm,
like what she can offer a man. So like I had a lot of not so great relationships growing up because that is what my first father figure ever taught me was
yeah.
that women are only valuable for what they have to offer physically. So
Mm,
like when I started dating this guy, again, sorry, mom, if you're listening, um, we had like an amazing physical connection.
mm-hmm.
And that's like kind of how it got roped in. And then like obviously like now I can look back and be like, oh, daddy wound. Hello. Like that's what was programmed in my head. Like, ooh, we have a physical connection, so this is what love must be like.
Yeah.
This must have been what my biological father was like talking about. Like, we have this physical connection, so this must be like it could never get better than this with any other person because I've never had a physical connection like this with another person. And it's like, no, like there's more than just that to a relationship, but like that is truly what had me believing like I can't ever get a better relationship than this, even with the lowest lows. So
Yeah.
like it keeps you stuck, sort of.
Yeah.
But what was your turning point? Because I just have to say, like, watching you evolve again, like it's amazing how fucking strong you are. And like arguably, like you kind of just to tie it back into fitness too, like your physique changes from like when you were in the thick of it to like now being in a much healthier place. Like it just like the mental changes, the emotional changes, but also like the physical of being out of that energy is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And thank you for that. Thank you. It means more than you know because when you're going through, when you're in it, it's hard to navigate. It's hard to feel like you're making any progress or like to even be able to look back and like be proud of yourself for what you're doing in the meantime. But this might sound silly to say, but I had a couple turning points and those all led to where I am now. It wasn't like a one thing ripped off the band-aid and that was it. It happened over about the course of a year. It was like about a year ago or so. Things started escalating to a point where it wasn't like a small little argument and we would get over it. It would be like week of arguing, week of getting better, week of having a high, week back to arguing like that. I called it like the 3 week cycle, every 3 weeks. All happened when I, for the first time in God knows how long, reached out to him saying that I needed help. I was struggling a little bit financially because I was living in a two-bedroom apartment. I was giving my mom money for it because it was our apartment, but I was helping her pay for the amenities and whatnot. And a couple months prior to me reaching out to her, Age and I started dating. So when we started dating, every single day that he would have off, I would be at his house. I came to my mom asking for help. She was like, yeah, I'll help you. And in hindsight, yes, I think she really did want to help, but I also think that she saw that as an opportunity to kind of
Mhm.
gain some control over me because I was not a child since my sister was born. My parents got divorced when I was very young. I helped raise my sister. I was pretty much living on my own since, I don't know, 15. Like I was living in her house, but in the basement. So like I took care of everything. I took care of the cats. I took care of the dogs. I took care of my sister. Started working when I was 14. Like I was programmed to be like very independent. And this was the first time at the ripe age of just about to turn 21 that I reached out to my mom and I was like, hey, I'm struggling. I don't want to live in this apartment anymore. How the
Mhm.
situations all played out, but long story short, my first turning point was a very bad fight that we had, and I went to Age, and I would always try to validate her and like why she was being the way she is. Oh, she's having a bad day. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. And he was like pointing out certain things to me that I was having a hard time seeing. And, once I was like, all right, he's trying to help. I started like leaning into that more. And that one huge fight that happened, I just packed up my stuff and I told him, I was like, I'm either moving into your place, and this was around the time when I was planning to move in, or I'm just gonna have to figure something out because I can't live under her roof anymore. Like that was the first turning point. We tried to mend the relationship. That happened, but then we were still in the cycle. Like even while mending the relationship, the cycle was still there. It just wasn't as active, like it wasn't as intense. And then the biggest turning point was I had a bodybuilding show in June of this year. And that bodybuilding show, I did not place the way that I wanted to. Everything just flipped because I didn't thank her quick enough for the flowers that she brought me, and I didn't give her all my attention, and I was being cold to her, so to say, because I wasn't praising her the way that she wanted to, and she stormed
At
away
your show.
at my show, yeah.
At
And
your show.
yeah, and she stormed away like a child, and from then on, it's just we haven't repaired ever since, and so it's been what, like almost half a year now. My biggest turning point was just when that happened at my show, it happened in front of people. It happened in front of my fiance. Well, he wasn't my fiance at the time. It happened in front of my boyfriend. It happened in front of all of my friends. And when people started coming up to me and being like, "Hey, what just happened? Like, why did she just leave? Like, we had plans to go out after." And like she was making comments at my show about how my friends were complimenting my physique and how, oh, and like she's the reason why I have this physique and how this, and just like so many things that were told to me that, and these are people who didn't know the
Hmm.
relationship that her and I had. Yeah, when that happened in front of other people, I was like, I cannot protect her face anymore. Like, I just can't. Like, she did this in front of other people. It was so embarrassing for me. And even that night, after all of that happened, threw on a mask, went out to dinner to celebrate my post show, sat at the table with my friends. We had sushi, smiled it off. And in the meantime, I'm like getting like mean text messages on my phone. But I'm like, I have to be present with the people who love me and who are here for me because they don't deserve for me to be like a sourpuss because of what's going on. But that was the biggest turning point for me. And then from then on, I was just like, no. Brings me to my point of how to handle a situation like this with a narcissist and
Hmm.
how to manage it and deal with it. And the first thing that I would say is it's hard to set the firm boundaries and limit the access and prioritize yourself. But when you talk to someone about it, someone
Hmm.
who's like a healthy person and someone who doesn't allow those kind of things, it gives you the chance to understand that it is not you and that it is not normal. And like whether you're confiding in a friend or whether you're confiding in a significant other or a parent or a loved one or a therapist, like whoever you're confiding in, like when you talk about it, when you get it out there, you understand like how, sorry for my language, but how fucked up of a situation it is. And from there, you can actually start taking action in making changes and dealing with it.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I actually was seeing a therapist while I was dating this person.
Yeah.
And I mean, initially was seeing them to help. Actually, no. Oh my God. See, now it's coming back to me. I'm like, no, I started seeing this therapist because I didn't know how to handle dating a narcissist. And I
Mm,
remember the behavior, I kept writing it off as like, oh, he's a veteran and he has PTSD and like I just need to be more understanding, more patient. And then I was like, oh, well, now also my dad is finally in the end stages of cancer. So like then it was like a tandem, like how do I navigate this relationship and also like how do I handle the feelings of grief I have for what my dad is going through? So thank God I had her because that gave me a safe space to talk about it without
yeah.
judgment.
And having that
And
safe space is so incredibly important because from there, you're able to reconnect with yourself. You're able to start seeing things for what they are and not like when it's in your head, it's mumbo jumbo. Like it literally is mumbo
Mhm.
jumbo. Hence why for an episode like this, I literally have an outline of things that I want to talk about because God help me if I didn't, I would not be able to wrap up this episode ever, and we would be looking at like an Andrew Huberman 3 hour long podcast, which I which was not the
I'm
vibe.
here
And
for it.
I feel like I went off on more of a tangent than I even hope like wanted to, but I just hope that anything that we've shared about and anything that we've talked about helps at least one person that deals with someone who's a narcissist. But to reel it back in, like yeah, talking to someone gives you the opportunity to get your thoughts out, hear someone else's objective opinion, like with someone who has
Mhm.
no emotional investment in anything, like your therapist did not have any emotional investment or did not benefit from being on your side or his side or this side or that side. And the same thing goes for like my fiance, for example. He has no benefit in being on my side or my mom's side, or like there was no sides. It was just like, hey, like I'm telling you how I'm seeing things, and things are not looking good. Like I'm not seeing things the way that you're seeing them because you're emotionally invested. I'm not. Like he was emotionally invested in the sense of wanting to make sure that I'm okay, and like his love for me. And if anything, that helped me heal through it because I was like, oh, this is what unconditional love looks like. This is what someone who loves you no matter if you're having a crappy day or a great day. Because, like you said, my the difference in my physique, my mental state, my everything since separating, it's like I'm not gonna lie, I'm still very much going through it. Like it's very hard to think of, how we're planning a wedding and how we're planning all of such big things in our lives, and like to not have like your mom there, to not
Mhm.
have your sister there, to not have like your closest, who are supposed to be your closest people. Like it's really hard, and like I'm working through that still and will be until God knows when, but you can work through those things while still doing better, while still being in a better place, because I truly could not imagine like still being in that toxic loop. Like it just like when I
Mhm.
think about how long I've been in it, and I think you can probably relate to it being that it was years that you were in it. It's like when you think about it, it actually makes you like sad for that. Like you still feel those feelings. Like it's like why did I let that happen for so
Mhm.
long? And that's where it's hard to take responsibility, but once you're like, I'm not gonna deal with this, I'm not gonna allow this, it
Mhm.
it's hard, but it's also relieving, which feels
Yeah.
weird to say because it's people that you love, and it's like a relief that they're not around because of just how
Yeah.
much pain they've put on you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit different because yours was your parent and that's like the first person you're born and
Yeah.
that's all you have to trust. So like, yeah, I mean, on some level, I guess you could say you can take responsibility for like not getting out of that situation sooner, but also like arguably, objectively, third party taking a step back, I'm like, you got out, like you could have stayed much longer. Like I know people in their 40s still dealing with parents like that, and they refuse to separate themselves, and it's definitely impacted their life for the worst.
It just scares the
Um,
shit out of me because and this is like a little bit off topic, but I plan to, God willingly, have kids in the future. And like it scares the shit out of me to let, to allow my kids to like be around that and know that it's my doing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna
mhm.
try to cover them from the world. Like I'm gonna let them see every like, the things, but if I can start my marriage without that kind of toxic relationship, even though it has nothing to do with my personal relationship, at the same time it does because of how much it
Mhm.
affects me. And it's like
Yeah.
that's why I was like, I can't be in this. Like I have to get out because if I'm not gonna
Mhm.
look out for myself right now, how like what kind of parent am I gonna be? What kind of wife am I gonna be? What kind of coach am I gonna be if I'm talking to my clients and telling my clients like, hey, like you gotta set boundaries with this person, and then I'm not even doing that in my life.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. And everything that you listed too for like people how to manage like getting out of that situation or like I just want to say like it is not an overnight process. This is literally bit by bit by bit and like just to kind of like go off of what you said too like it's hard to take responsibility for your part in being there but like also recognize it's not your fault
Yeah.
necessarily that that person treated you that way. So that was like a hard thing for me, a hard pill for me to swallow was like I could not get like I could not attain the kind of life that I wanted to without first forgiving myself for allowing myself to be in another abusive relationship, which
Yeah.
was huge. And like if I had never done that, I never would be with Colin right now, who's like the healthiest relationship I've ever had. I'm so grateful for him. But if you're somebody going through this with someone in your life, whether it's a parent, a friend, because does manifest in friendships too, or a romantic relationship, like just understand it is a process. And I don't think anybody, I'm sure there are people that could just 0 to 100 cold turkey, like cut somebody out of their life. But like for the majority of us, you need to take those baby steps. Like
Yeah,
you said, you had multiple turning points. I think it's easier for your brain and your emotions and your body to protect you taking it into baby steps.
it is.
Otherwise, like we'd be in like therapy for like
For life,
forever trying
for
to like deal
life.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I love what you said, and I think that that is a really good place to wrap it up of it. You do have to play the long game in your healing journey because the chances are it's been a long time overdue of healing and a long time of being programmed and like believed to believe that certain things are okay when they're not. And I just want to end it off by saying that protecting your peace is a part of your fitness journey. Protecting your peace is a part of your life journey. And it is so incredibly important that you protect yourself mentally, physically, emotionally from people that just like don't deserve you and like don't deserve your love and your attention and your time. And I promise you will like once you make space for the people that do, like once the more that I've taken steps away from my mom, like the more and just like from people who have narcissistic personalities, the more I have been just covered with love and like love to the point where that brings me to tears because I didn't experience like that kind of love before. And you will come across your people, you will find your people but that requires making space for them and also making space for yourself to grow and heal because like I said in the beginning, you can't heal in the same environment that caused you the pain. You can't heal around the same people that caused you the pain. You can try to, you might be able to take some steps because I know that not everyone could just cut off whoever they're with and like go about healing. So you can start taking the steps to heal, but that like I don't know if this is the right word, but like that liberating moment, like that, like
Mhm.
hugest, like the hugest, the biggest change in your life is going to be when you know that you're choosing yourself and that you're not choosing to be in something just because you're used to it or it's a norm for you or whatever. And um, being around a narcissist, like that is not a norm. So that's where I want to end this
I
off.
love you and thank you for having me on this one and thank you for being brave and courageous and just loving to share this story with people and hold space because there's so many people out there that I know are dealing with this and hopefully they can get some validation and understand that they deserve better because
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you. And thank you so
Mhm.
much for being on this with me and sharing this with me. This is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about, but as anyone can imagine, it's a little bit hard to like come out and be like, hey, like this is and also it's not like a pity party, so nobody needs to like please don't pity either one of us. Like we're just
Mm-mm.
here to straight up share our journeys, share our lives, and in hopes of maybe even just helping one person take the steps to heal, whether they're around a narcissist or they have been, because chances are we've all crossed one in our lives. We're not perfect, but sure as heck could strive to be better than you are. So that is it. I will be dropping the name of the book and like any other resources that I could think of in the description. If there's anything that anyone ever wants to talk to me about or to Mandy about, our DMs are always open. I'll be dropping our Instagram handles in the show notes as well. It'll only make you stronger. I'm gonna stop yapping now. Love you guys and tune in to the next one. Sculpt Session Sunday podcasts are every Sunday. So like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. But that is it.
Mhm.
That is all. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye.